Have a chance to turn two. They got him.
Carrying track, wall, and it's gone. Throwing to the end zone, tipped, picked off.
Look, they shoot and score on the header.
And we're back for episode 4 of White Noise Sports with Tanner White. Last week was focused on my MLB postseason awards predictions. This week we're pivoting to basketball with my 2024 NBA playoff preview. I'll give a quick rundown on every seed in the playoffs and try and figure out what every team has to do in order to win a championship this year. Now, the 1 seed in the West was always going to be hectic. In the East, though, Boston never shied away from being the best team. There was more room in the standings between the Celtics and the second-seeded Bucks than there was between the 1 seed and the 10 seed in the West. Forwards Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are both stars. Kristaps Porzingis gives them over 20 points a game and incredible size at 7'2". They shoot and take more threes than anyone, block the most shots, and they have the best point differential too. All of that made Boston essentially unbeatable at home. The Celtics should still be everyone's title favorite. Their blueprint to winning the finals changed nothing. Trust your entire rotation 1 through 15 to defend and shoot well and collect your ring. Now for the Thunder in the West. They were a dark horse 1 seed. They had to win their last 5 games to get in, and they needed some help. The Wolves and Nuggets are going to be really upset if home court advantage ends up a big factor. The Thunder are by far the youngest team in the field. Their starting lineup's young enough that they could have all been playing in March Madness. They're the best three-point shooting team, just a hair better than Boston and Minnesota by percentage. They finished 3rd in scoring, tied for 1st in block shots with Boston, and led the league in steals with over 8.5 a game. Their path through the finals is to find their number 2 scorer after Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and have Chet Holmgren be the best rim protector and shot blocker throughout the playoffs. Now as we head to the 2 seed, we've got the Nuggets and the Knicks. I get why people want to write off the Knicks, I really do. Forward Julius Randle had a right shoulder surgery and he'll miss the playoffs. Hopefully he even makes it back in time for next regular season. Point guard Jalen Brunson's been in this position before though, and he's 4th in the league in scoring. Dante DiVincenzo is also quietly 3rd in the league in made 3-pointers. Their offensive numbers don't really stand out, but they defend hard and without fouling. The Knicks finished 2nd in points allowed. Their blueprint to win is kind of a long shot for a 2 seed, but it's having Jalen Brunson play like an MVP on offense and then hold teams under 100 points pretty much every game on defense. For the Nuggets, center Nikola Jokic's 3rd MVP seems like a formality, and don't discount the possibility of Jamal Murray having another playoff run like he did last year. Murray put up 26.1 points, 7.3 assists, and 1.5 steals a game. He could have easily won MVP of the West or the league finals. The Nuggets team as a whole might not be quite as good as the sum of their parts. They're likely going to need Michael Porter Jr. and or Aaron Gordon to score in addition to that Batman and Robin act that you always get from Jokic and Murray. They certainly can't overlook LA in the first round, but they have owned them in recent years. Now we head to the 3 seeds with the Bucks and the Timberwolves. Giannis averaged over 30 points and 11 rebounds a game and almost certainly won't win MVP. That's the modern NBA for you. By the way, that calf injury back on April 9th is going to keep him out for the start of the playoffs. If they don't get Giannis back by Game 3, I think they could still beat the Pacers starting Bobby Portis in his spot, but it'll be pretty close. The Bucks are loaded with other veterans like Brook Lopez, Dame Lillard, and Chris Middleton. They're all in year 11 or later. I'd call their finals blueprint age before beauty. Play smarter, turn the ball over less, get a big advantage at the free throw line. Then once you've done all those things, you can put teams away in clutch time. This year's Timberwolves are one of the best 3 seeds I can recall at 56 and 26. Getting Karl Anthony Towns and Anthony Edwards together on the floor again is huge. The Wolves are another team that could have a reasonable path to the finals, but has an awful first-round matchup with Phoenix. Cat has to play a ton of minutes immediately and is coming off that meniscus tear. Rudy Gobert might win his 4th Defensive Player of the Year. The Wolves are the best defensive team overall, but the Suns are not normal in that they have some all-time great mid-range shooters. The Wolves' path to the finals is to run people off the three-point line and force them to take tough contested twos, which works well against all other 28 teams, but not Phoenix, who swept them in the regular season doing just that. We head to the Cavaliers and Clippers, checking in as the 4 seeds. I don't think either of these teams will wow anyone with their numbers on paper. The Cavaliers are younger, led by Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland. They're around league average in almost every team stat that matters, but that was good enough to win them 48 games. Obviously, they get it done when they need it. They can win the finals by keeping every game close and going down to the wire, which is already a tough task. Then they let Mitchell and Garland create and make shots in the clutch. The Clippers have unreal experience. They have 4 likely Hall of Famers in Paul George, Kawhi, Russ Westbrook, and James Harden, all aged between 32 and 35. None of them are exactly in their prime, but they can all turn back the clock on any given night. Their finals blueprint is exactly that. If those 4 play a bunch of minutes and share the ball effectively, no one can guard all of them. Coming in at the 5th seeds, we have the Mavericks and the Magic. You might have heard of a guy named Luka Doncic. He scored 73 points in a game this year, averaged just about 34 a game to win the scoring title. Kyrie Irving also went over 25 points a game, and the Mavs hit the second most threes behind Boston. The Mavericks' path to the finals is one of the least complicated and most likely, making them really dangerous. It's a total Kyrie and Luka takeover. Now, the Magic are the least publicized of any team in the playoffs. 6 different guys scored double digits for them this year, led by 2022 number 1 pick Paolo Banchero with 22.5 points a game. Quietly, though, the Magic are young and deep 1 through 15. Their key to winning in the finals: win the rebounding battle, keep getting tons of deflections and steals, and don't let other teams' top scorers beat them. The 6 seeds are the last 2 teams to avoid the play-in tournament this year. The Pacers and the Suns were the ones to sneak in. Indiana's been at the top of the league in pace as well as scoring all year long. They average 123 points a game on over 50% from the floor. Now, like you might imagine, that means that they don't really rebound or defend much. If they're going to make a run, they have to win the track meet type games. The Showtime Lakers have the highest scoring average in a single playoff run at 126.3 points a game. Indiana might need to break that record to get to the finals, let alone to win them. The Suns have all the star power in the world. Sometimes they do run into the issue of, well, there's only one ball. Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, and Devin Booker do have to share it. Plus, Grayson Allen shot 46% from 3 to lead the league. They have to let him get some shots up, and they might even get newly acquired Isaiah Thomas involved on offense. I mentioned that they drew the Wolves in the first round. Their formula is to let their 3 great scorers cover up any noticeable weaknesses, but with the caveat that KD and their center Yusuf Nurkic have to play really well defensively too, altering and blocking shots. Minnesota was the number 1 defense this year, but this is a worst-case scenario matchup, and the Suns just might take them down. Finally, we get to the winners of the play-in tournament games. Now, in the spirit of full disclosure, in trying to keep up with my upload schedule, we don't know the 8 seeds yet as I finish this recording. The elimination games are tonight, that's Friday night, and my quick predictions are that the injuries to Zion and Jimmy Butler shake up the play-in landscape. Neither the Pelicans nor the Heat are probably deep enough to win without their top player. That would put the Bulls and Kings in as the 8 seeds, so I'm going to predict this as if they are in. The Lakers and Kings won their first round games in the play-in. The only reason to not like the Lakers in the first round is, of course, their ghastly matchup with second seed Denver. I don't doubt that LeBron and AD can take over, but they still might not be better than Jokic and Murray. The one chance the Lakers have is something we don't mention enough with them. They have the highest free throw differential in the league by over 250 shots. It means that they get to the line a ton, yes, but it's more that they draw an unbelievable quantity of fouls. Not just LeBron and AD, but everyone on their roster. If they can get Jokic into foul trouble early and often in the series, they'll have a chance. If they beat Denver, then you look down the West and I really think they can beat anybody. The only team I think truly outguns them is Boston in the finals, but this whole exercise is about how each team can win. Now, if you predicted Keegan Murray as the guy that would pretty much single-handedly knock the Warriors out, and Clay going 0 of 10 from the field and not scoring a single point, please give me your lottery numbers. The Kings embarrassed the Warriors with 15 offensive rebounds, 10 steals, and shooting 46% from 3. Apparently, their best chance is to have a bunch of young guys break out and take over right in front of our eyes. Sabonis will still get you triple-doubles, De'Aaron Fox will still give you 30 on any given night, and suddenly the Kings are real contenders with these guys like Keon Ellis and Keegan Murray exploding. It's a crying shame that Zion Williamson isn't going to be available for the Pelicans, and therefore I'm not giving them a great chance against the Kings. His hamstring injury in the fourth quarter of that Lakers game that was already mostly decided seems like it might have ended the Pelicans' season. Just for argument's sake, if CJ McCollum and Brandon Ingram do get rolling for the Pelicans and they're able to knock out the Kings, then hopefully they get Zion back as soon as possible. There were times when he flashed that physical dominance against the Lakers. That said, if your team is structured around a big three like the Pelicans are, you really have to have all three of them available and playing at a high level. Now, about the East play-in games. While watching the Sixers and Heat play in the Wednesday night game, two things stood out to me. One, this was by far more interesting than any of the other play-in games. And two, it was clear that Joel Embiid isn't conditioned like he normally is. 2 months off is just too long to not affect your game. Embiid finally got his second wind and scored 11 of his 23 in the fourth quarter. Nick Batum and Kelly Oubre helped close the game out, and the Heat made it very interesting but came up short by just 1 point. The 76ers finals road starts in New York, and to me, their finals blueprint is to get Embiid back in shape and playing like an MVP. But if they can't do that within the span of one series, they have to try and draw as much attention with him as possible. Have him play point center like Jokic does, and hope that Tyrese Maxey, Nick Batum, and the rest of the supporting cast make shots. The Bulls beat the Hawks handily 135-116 behind a career-high 42 points from Kobe White. 4 different Hawks scored 20-plus, led by DeJounte Murray with 30, but they got crushed in the rebound battle and had 8 shots blocked. Now the Bulls get to play the Heat without Jimmy Butler, and I really do think it's advantage to them. That is, if they carry a bunch of momentum over from winning that first-round game. Now whoever wins that last elimination game in the East, whether it be the Bulls or the Heat, here's what they're going to have to do to win the finals. Lead the playoffs in blocked shots as a team, force 20-plus turnovers a game from Boston and everybody else. Oh yeah, and probably drink some of Michael's secret stuff from Space Jam. I really think this year's Celtics are the closest thing we've seen to the Monstars in a while. Quickly revisiting a couple of my MLB postseason award predictions that I made last episode. Have you seen what the Tigers have done in late innings? You're not supposed to score all of your runs in the 8th inning or later, and yet that formula's really worked out so far. I think A.J. Hinch is sort of a lock, and I really wish that I would have gone with him for my AL Manager of the Year pick. It mostly comes down to how well he's managed the bullpen, called upon the right pinch hitters and pinch runners at the right times. He really hasn't made any mistakes, especially late in games. Looks like I'm in position to take an L on AL Rookie of the Year. Wyatt Langford isn't off to the hottest of starts with the Rangers. Plus, ironically enough, teammate Evan Carter now finds himself as a betting favorite. Jackson Holliday just got the call up with the Orioles, so anything could happen there. Did you see his numbers down in AAA? Personally, I think Colt Keith still has a long way to go. He's been great defensively at second base, especially as the Tigers are missing their everyday second baseman, Andy Ibanez. He hits the ball hard, and I like his strategy at the plate, but Colt hasn't hit any home runs yet. One of the guys that I thought was massively overhyped and had no chance in the NL Rookie of the Year vote was Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Could not have been more wrong there. Now, the big caveat, of course, is most teams have only played about 20 games. Take all of my predictions as just what they are, mostly educated guesses. Paul Skeens and Mason Wynn still find themselves on the board too, but with plus 2,000 and plus 3,000 odds respectively. Long shots on both. The Giants' Jung-Hoo Lee is trending upward a little bit. He's currently at plus 1,800 odds, just above Paul Skeens though. Not a great sign for him. I think the pick that I'm the second most confident about has to be Tarek Skubal as the AL Cy Young. He's been disgusting. The strikeouts are just always going to be there with the kind of mix that he has this year, and his fastball is up a tick or two. With a four-seam and a sinker that can both touch 98 to 99, I really don't know how you hit him. Are the Tigers one of the best teams in baseball? No, but they have an incredible starting pitcher and manager. When it comes to my NL Cy Young pick, I definitely think I missed the mark with Logan Webb. Again, through a very small sample size. Also, when I was making that prediction about Webb, I mentioned Blake Snell and how he won the Cy Young last year. Snell is now currently a teammate of Logan Webb's with the Giants. Beautifully ironic there. I'd say NL Manager of the Year is perfectly wide open, and truth be told, I don't have a great guess on the NL Cy Young either, especially with Spencer Strider going down and needing surgery. I do know that the Diamondbacks' Zach Gallen is the betting favorite. Tyler Glasnow has also looked like the best pitcher on the Dodgers, who again we assume are going to be the best team in baseball, so he should have a great chance as well. Alright, back to basketball for a quick wrap-up. You can thank the NBA's Supermax contract system and crazy parity for the wonkiness of the playoff field. Nothing has made sense so far this year in the NBA, so I say why start now? If there's one thing you can be sure of, it's uncertainty. Let me know in the Q&A which picks you disagree with. Of course, there are teams that I don't believe have a realistic chance of getting to the finals, let alone winning, but I enjoyed creating scenarios where they do. Next week, I'll be going over the injuries to prominent starting pitchers in the MLB, as well as covering a few unwritten rules from major sports and pondering if they might be going out of style. And finally, that will wrap up episode 4 of White Noise Sports with Tanner White. Whether you came just for the basketball talk, or you enjoy the MLB predictions, whether you're just trying to support, can't thank you enough. Thanks so much again for joining me today. This has been episode 4 of White Noise Sports with Tanner
Right
White.
at Mills gonna have a chance to turn 2. They got him.
Carrying track, wall, and it's gone. Throwing to the end zone, tipped, picked off.
Look, they shoot and score on the header.